Welcome to this week's episode of Analyzing Chazal. This week we'll be analyzing a Rashi on this week's Parsha, Parshas Vayigash. Let's start with the Pasuk. Perek Memhei, Pasuk Aleph. The Pasuk says, V'lo yachol Yosef lisapek l'kol hanitzavim alav, vayikra hotziu kol ish me'alai, v'lo amad ish ito bisvada Yosef elachav. Yosef could not hold himself back in front of all the people standing in front of him. And he called out that everyone should leave the area where he was sitting, and no one was standing near him when he revealed himself to his brothers. The explanation of the Pasuk. The Pasuk is telling us that Yosef felt that the time had come to reveal himself to his brothers, and Yosef did not want any of the Egyptians who were in his court to be there when Yosef revealed himself to his brothers, so he told them all to leave. Rashi. Lo haya yachol lizbol sheyiu mitzrim nitzavim alav v'shomim she'achav misbayshim b'hodod lahem. Yosef could not bear that the Egyptians who were standing there would hear when his brothers would be embarrassed when Yosef revealed himself to them. The type of question we'll use this time is that a person is going to take an action to achieve a result that clearly will not result in their goals being achieved. Now that we know the type of question we'll be using and the information we have until now, can you come up with a question yourself? Okay, here's the question. Yosef threw everyone out of his court before he revealed himself to his brothers, in order that they would not be embarrassed. The Torah then tells us that the whole house of Paro knew that Yosef's brothers came to Egypt. We can assume as well that the people who were constantly in the court of Paro also knew the whole story of what happened over this extended period with his brothers. So would the brothers not be embarrassed every time they saw the members of Yosef's court? So what difference does it make if the people saw when Yosef revealed himself to the brothers or not? Either way, they would be embarrassed for years after, every time they saw the members of Yosef's court. An introduction to the answer. Normally, we would think that since the answer has to come from within the question, there is only one possible answer. However, there can be multiple directions to answer a question, as long as each answer is coming from within the question. This Rashi is an example of this. Let us see the answers. Answer number 1. The question was, why would Yosef take an action to prevent the brothers from being embarrassed, if in the end they would be embarrassed anyway in front of those same people? The first answer is that Yosef did it to save his brothers' embarrassment, as the embarrassment they would have at the time of the revelation would have been much worse than the embarrassment they would have just from Yosef's servants knowing the story. Practical application number 1. This relates to the first answer. A person needs to appreciate that there is a major difference between seeing and hearing. Just like the members of the court of Yosef, if they saw the brothers being embarrassed, it would cause them to have a very low view of them. But just knowing about the information would not have that same impact on how they would view the brothers. The same thing applies to us in our Avodas Hashem. If a person sees someone doing a mitzvah or avera, that will have a much greater impact on them than if they just heard a story about someone who did the same action. It is for this reason that watching something inappropriate can cause so much damage to us spiritually, and how careful we must be to protect our eyes from seeing people doing inappropriate things. Answer number 2. Same question. The question was, why would Yosef take an action to prevent the brothers from being embarrassed, if in the end they would be embarrassed anyway in front of those same people? The answer is that no matter if in the end the brothers will be embarrassed anyway, but Yosef had a requirement to do whatever was in his power to prevent his brothers from being embarrassed, even if in the end it would not be totally successful. Practical application number 2. In life, many times when we have an opportunity to do a chesed or to learn Torah, and we say to ourselves, why should I bother? I will not be able to learn and remember everything I learned, so there is no point in starting. Or regarding starting a chesed project, a person will say, why should I start? How much impact can I really make? The answer to this question is always that all Hashem wants from us is to do the maximum we can, and then Hashem will take care of the rest. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you next week for Parshas Vayechi.